Well, welcome to another episode. We're at it again already. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about how you can buy a house with no cash. And if you clicked on this video, it's no surprise. Don't feel bad about it. A lot of people have been struggling, saving up money, having cash on hand, especially since COVID-19. But how can you still buy a house without having any cash? Well, in this video, we're going to break it down into 3 separate sections. The first way that we're going to be able to do this is by choosing a down payment assistance program. And now these are going to be specific to certain people in certain areas, so they might not apply to everybody, but they're a good thing to look into. The second way is by making sure that we're putting in offers that are going to cover our closing costs, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail. And the third way is by seller financing. And so without further ado, let's get started. So number 1, these down payment assistance programs. You may have heard of an FHA loan. Well, that is a form of down payment assistance where you can put less than 20% down, but that is not going to get you to zero. There's 2 programs you can look at. The first one we're going to talk about is the VA loans. So now these are going to apply to veterans, active duty, and their surviving spouses. So if you fit that category, good news for you. So a VA loan, and I'm going to make another video going more into depth of this, and when it comes out, I will link it in this video, and it'll probably be up here or down here, so you can click it and get a little more in-depth information. But these are loans that are going to allow you to go to 0% down. That's right, 0% down. Let's go. No cash for this. And they're also not going to make you pay a mortgage insurance. Now, I'm going to refer to that a couple times in this video, but a mortgage insurance means that that's the bank's way of making you pay a little bit extra every month to ensure that if you go south on that loan, that they're not taking a hit. So VA is not going to make you pay that. So not only will you get the 0% down, but you're not going to have that hefty mortgage insurance that normally is going to come when you go less than 20% of a down payment on a home. And so, like I said, these only apply to veterans, active duty, and surviving spouses, and you have to go and get an eligibility certificate to make sure that you qualify. So look into that, see if you can get it. They call it a COE. If you happen to see the acronym, you know it's an eligibility certificate to say that you qualify for the VA. So the second type of loan is the USDA loan. This comes from the United States Department of Agriculture. Now, what agriculture? What does agriculture have to do with a loan? Well, this is the government's way of bringing people into those more rural areas away from the city and filling those. And so what this development program does is it allows you to find a house that qualifies in that section or in that area near you, and it will let you put 0% down on that house. But this loan will include that mortgage insurance. So if you put no money down, you're gonna have to pay a little more each month in that insurance for sometimes up to 48 months, so about 4 years, in order to tell the bank, hey, I'm not gonna default on my loan, and it makes them feel safe about it. So be prepared to pay that, but that's one way that you can pay 0% down and buy a house. The second part of this, we're gonna talk about asking your seller to cover the closing costs. Now, whenever you're a buyer, you're generally going to pay about 3% at the close of your deal of the full purchase price of the house towards closing costs. And I'm sorry, guys, these suck. I know you're already paying a down payment. Why would you want to pay a closing costs? It is definitely difficult to be a buyer. But a lot of times, instead of putting in a repair request on a house, say you go to a house, there's things wrong with it, Generally, you might put in a repair request. And a lot of times that can be a pain, especially if the seller is not the type of person to hire contractors, they're not familiar with it, they just don't like doing that. So instead of doing the repair, maybe you could do it yourself. And then when you put in the offer, you ask for closing cost concessions. And so there's actually a section on the offer and on the contract, the purchase contract that your realtor is going to write up, that can ask for those closing cost concessions. And so when you do that, then the seller doesn't have to maybe fix the problems, but they can give you some money so that you don't have to put any immediate money down in order to buy the house. Great if you're low on cash and you're good with your hand. So make sure that if you are low on cash, your realtor knows, hey, I want to be asking for closing cost credits for this home. And then you could pick a home accordingly. Maybe you pick one that just needs a little bit of updating, needs a little bit of work, but it's not too bad, and aim for one of those. But be warned, if it needs too much work, it might not qualify for one of the above loans if you're going for the 0% down. So yeah, there's a fine ground in there. There are definitely a lot of them out there that would work for, but you're going to have to be on your toes on the search. So the third point and part of this video is seller financing. Now you might be thinking, when would a seller ever want to do this? Well, in my experience, it comes a lot of times as an as-is home. So what happens is the seller wants to get rid of the home very quickly. Maybe it needs repairs, and they don't want to go through that whole process of finding getting the contractors, whatever it might be. And so they want to get rid of the home. You're interested, but you need the financing. Well, they can finance it. And there's actually tax benefits on the seller's side to doing this. So a lot of times you might find these opportunities with somebody who is inheriting a home, it needs repairs, and they just want to get rid of it and get some cash and maybe get a tax benefit. And so you come along and you offer to buy the home with seller financing. And so this is going to be tricky. You're going to have to find that particular home that is, and the particular seller who wants to do it. But this can be very rewarding for you, not having to put anything down with cash. And so it might be worth the effort. If you know maybe you got some bills coming up, you're just not going to be able to save any money, even if you have it coming in for a while. Find a house that you can buy with seller financing. And that's it, guys. So look for your loans. Put in offers that cover your closing costs. And 3, look for seller financing. And you can buy a house with no money down. So thanks for watching. See you guys soon.